Good morning, gang. Happy Sunday morning. All right, we're going to do something a little different today. After last night's live stream, I was going through the comments that were made. Wanted to see what was other YouTube channels and everything like that that had been mentioned after the video yesterday, just to see how the comments were going on the live stream and all, and taking a look around. There was an interesting one that comment. It was very simple. It was a comment by Life with Misty, and all it said was "great video." And I looked at the title and Prepping Principles. I'm like, damn, that video's got to be old. I looked back at it. This was the very first video I ever made on YouTube. And I thought it'd be worth sharing again. Most of you haven't seen it because I think it only had like 2,200 views in the last 4 years. Okay. So I went back and I watched it. And I was like, the world has changed a little bit, but my conviction has not. And that doesn't surprise me because my convictions never changed. But when I watched the video, I was like, I'm doing the right thing. Then I was thinking about all of you guys. And how many of you, since I made that video, have gone from where you were in 2019 to today? And you go, you know what? All those things that we talked about 4 years ago happened. And we still keep going forward. I watched the video, and I'll show it to you in a second. Here, you guys can see it again. Granted, the beard's different. Okay. My property's different. Some things have changed. I mean, I bought an extra acre of land as I'm sitting out at my fire pit in this video. What you're looking at behind me is now where my pond is. But you think about where you've come from and how much you've succeeded and gotten better and more prepared since then. But the topics I talk about haven't changed. Take a watch. Enjoy. Good afternoon, everybody. I decided to start this channel after reading and watching countless blogs and videos about prepping. Some of it was good. Some of it was written or recorded by people basically who are going to die in a week. Who am I? What the hell qualifies me to do something like this? I'm your typical guy who's worked for years, 40 hours a week in an office. Okay? I also happen to be an Army intelligence veteran. Okay? I've also been all over the world. North America, Central America, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, 2/3 of Africa. I've seen the shit that people have to go through to survive. Okay? If you've ever watched any of the National Geographic stuff, you see Maasai tribes down in Kenya, Tanzania, living in mud huts, flies all over them. Somehow they survive. Okay, we're used to our 300 channels of cable TV, internet on constantly, news 24/7. What happens if you lose all of that? Okay, I've learned quite a bit from my travels around the world. I've lived all over the United States. Everything I've experienced, I've learned stuff. Am I a guru? Hell no. Okay, I'm as much of a teacher as I am a student. Why do I do this? Well, let's see. I've had to survive in the field in the Army. That ain't fun, being cold and hungry out there. Fortunately, MREs existed. Okay. I've been homeless. Okay. A lot of people can't say that. Trying to find a place to sleep, sleeping in your car, having nothing to eat, going to a food shelter or whatever. Yeah, I've had to do that. Okay. It sucks. All right. You don't want to be in that situation ever in your life. Could it happen? Yeah, it could happen to anybody. I never expected it to happen to me. I mean, I came from a good middle class family. I was an Army veteran. I had a good job, and poof, 2008 happened. Same time I wound up in a divorce. All of a sudden, I lose my job, lose my house, lose my wife, all at the same time. Poof, I'm homeless. Okay. I've been through a whole lot. Not everything. There's a lot of people out there have been through a whole lot worse than I have. I get that. Okay. Everybody has their own personal SHTF stuff that's going to happen to them. Okay. You know, you see all these people on TV or on YouTube or writing blogs preparing for the end of the world, or, you know, an EMP or a nuclear explosion. Okay. Guess what? All right. If something like that happens, your chances of survival are slim to none. Okay. Yeah, maybe you make it for a week, a month, a year, or something. You're not going to last long after a nuclear war. Okay. You could have all the preparations in the world done, but good luck preparing for nuclear fallout in a nuclear winter. Not happening. Okay. So let's get that out of the way in the first place. We all have our own personal SHTF situations. Like I said, could be a job loss, could be homelessness. Okay. Doesn't have to be a nuclear war. Could be something a little more common, but not certainly likely. Tornado hits and wipes out your house. God knows we've seen enough hurricanes up and down the East Coast over the last 10 years. Okay. How about a fire? How about your house burns down? Or your car breaks down and you can't get to work and you lose your job? Okay. All these things are very possible. How are you going to survive them? They're not major catastrophic events in the world, but for you, they've just put you through a living hell. How are you going to make it from today to tomorrow to next week to next month? Okay. Granted, the economy's good, but what are your skills? What kind of job can you get? All right. Those are the things. I mean, there's plenty of stuff you can prepare for. There's countless websites out there. There's some guys that all they want to prepare with is weapons. Oh my God, you've got to have, half a dozen ARs and a bunch of AKs and a 308 and this 9mm and that 45 cal and everything like that. Wonderful. Weapons have their place, no question about it. Okay. But if your SHTF moment is you just lost your job, a gun's not going to help. You're not going to walk into a guy and say, hire me or I'm going to blow your brains out. Okay. Not happening. All right. What is a weapon good for? Sure, it's going to be good for protection. Okay. But if you're hungry, you can't eat the ammo. All right. So while I'm not saying don't have weapons, that ain't your first priority. Okay. Let's talk about first priorities going that way. All right. So the first thing you really want to think about, what does it take to be prepared? What does it take to be ready? All right. Your mindset is the very first thing you need. First off, lose the liberal mindset. Okay, period. All right. If you think the government's going to help you, first off, the government's probably the one that put you in the situation you're in the first place. I mean, it could be as simple as a job loss. Let's look at, the 2008 recession. Okay. How did that come about? Well, let's see. We had a bunch of idiots in Washington who thought, gee, anybody who could walk and talk could get a mortgage. And of course, when they couldn't afford to pay the mortgage, the housing market blows up. And so all of a sudden the economy's in a recession. Or, that causes a whole bunch of companies to start laying off people. You're out of a job. Okay. Could be anything. Oh, we've got, good old Pocahontas out there right now with her, hey, yeah, we want this $53 trillion tax plan. Okay, that'll pretty much kill 90% of the jobs in the country because, that's only, 3 times, 4 times the national debt as we've got it now that she wants to knock off in 10, add in 10 years. Okay, money doesn't grow on trees unless of course you're a liberal and you believe that. Okay. If you think the government's going to save you in an SHTF situation, go take a look at some videos after Katrina. If you want to be that person living in the Louisiana Superdome, okay, go for it. Me, personally, not happening. I'd rather live on my own property somewhere or at least be out amongst my own means to get something done, because sitting around with, oh, I don't know, 100,000 other people trying to use the bathrooms that don't work and trying to get food from them. Yeah, okay, the government's not your solution, okay? So first things first, lose the liberal mindset, because the government will not be your friend, okay? Second off, okay, Second Amendment, you want to hate the Second Amendment, that's all fine and dandy. We get into any sort of bad situation, i.e. a Democrat win the 2020 election and $53 trillion later in taxes or whatever, and the world goes to hell, or at least the country goes to hell, you're going to need to defend yourself, okay? And the guys who have guns are going to be the ones that are coming after you. If you don't have any way to defend yourself, you're roadkill, okay? As the saying goes, what are liberals good for? Target practice. That will really come to play in an SHTF situation, okay? Climate change, you want to preach about climate change, I'll bet you if we get into the end of the world as we know it, Teowaki, you're going to be happier if it's warmer, okay? Because it's a lot more, it's miserable being in a hot and humid area, but it's a lot easier to live in that than it is when it's 20 below, okay? You want to be a social justice warrior, that's great. When you're hungry, gay rights and income inequality, not going to mean squat to you, okay? So first things you got to do is you got to have the right mindset, and a liberal mindset has nothing to do with survival whatsoever. You want to survive, get all that crap out of your head right away, okay? Next thing, you need a place, okay? Are you going to bug in? Are you going to bug out? Okay, do you live in a big city? Let's say you live in New York City. You're going to stay in the city. You might make it a couple of days. Okay, you're not going to be able to go down to the bodega and grab yourself a sandwich and a couple of beers. Not going to happen. Okay, because there's 8.5 other million people there that are hungry too. And last time I checked, they don't grow a whole lot of food in New York. Okay, your average meal that comes to your dinner plate, it comes from about 1,500 miles away. Okay, and it ain't going to the heartland in Ohio from downtown Manhattan, okay? Had a funny conversation with a guy a couple of weeks ago, and he goes, oh, there's plenty of food in New York. We're right on the ocean. He goes, we can fish. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Let's imagine 8.5 million people sitting out on, Long Island trying to fish, okay? First off, I bet 90% of the people don't even own a fishing pole. And of the ones that do, how many of them are any good at it? Okay, but the bottom line comes, 8.5 million people going to try to eat fish out of the East River? Yeah, okay. You got a better chance of pulling up a dead body than you do a fish that you want to eat out of there. Okay. If you're going to bug in, that's the way to go. If you can, as you can see around here, I'm out in the country. All right, my wife and I. Camera fell down. Not a good thing. My wife and I made a decision about 9 months. No, actually, we made the decision about 2 years ago to find ourselves a place in the country, and we just got sick of city life. Like I said, I'm suburban my whole life. Fortunately for me, I had a job that I can take anywhere. As long as I got a phone and a computer, I'm good. Am I saying get completely off the grid, do whatever, live like Grizzly Adams? No, okay? But get away from major population centers. That's the important thing. I got internet, I've got television, I have telephone, I can have a nice, comfortable life out here. What's the downfall? Yeah, if I need to go to the grocery store, it's 25 minutes away, okay? It's not right around the corner. That's fine. You know what? I'm sitting out here 2 days before Christmas, and the only thing I can hear right now are birds chirping, okay? There's no traffic running by, there's no nothing. So I've got peace and quiet out here, which is good for your mental health and good to live your life now in the real world. We don't need to panic so much, oh my God, I've got to prepare for the end of the world and not live life today. You got to live today, too. So I have a comfortable house, a couple acres that I bought for $200,000. Not that bad, because I'm betting your, I don't know what, 500 square foot apartment in New York probably cost you more than that, unless of course you got some rent control apartment that you've been handed down generations or whatever. Okay. I've lived in the cities, I've lived in the suburbs, I've lived in Boston, I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in Detroit, I've lived in Vegas, and finally it was get out of there and get my own piece of property, nice sized piece of property where I have enough space to do what I need to do. Okay, because what does space bring you? Well, let's see. This 2 acres I have, obviously there's plenty of room to farm it. Okay, so I can plant a very nice garden, which I've got ready to go come springtime here. I am about a 3-minute walk from a massive lake which I can fish in. As you can see, there's plenty of space to go deer hunting, squirrel, rabbit trapping, if I need anything in the way of food that way. See squirrels, see rabbits all the time in my yard. My dog loves to chase them. See deer come through the backyard sometime. Not too bad when I know my dinner might be running through the backyard. Okay, if your dinner's running through the backyard when you're in New York City, I hope you got a good recipe for rat. Okay, because that's about all you're eating. All right. The 3 things that you need to survive, we all know this. You need food, you need water, you need shelter. Okay, this is a shocking fact, okay, but this is from FEMA. 97% of the people in the United States do not have enough food or water to survive for 2 weeks. Okay, if you think of people in the big city, you go into their refrigerator and what's in there? Oh, maybe, if they live downtown area, okay, maybe it's a case of beer and a bottle of wine because there's no food in it. They eat out every night, or they stop at the bodega and pick up something, or a chicken at the grocery store, whatever. They're not going buying groceries. Forget Amazon Eats and all these other things. The greatest invention in the world for people that live in the city is, Grubhub and all that. Oh, they'll deliver from any restaurant anywhere. Wonderful. Okay, now you have no food. You have no skills. You can't cook. You can't eat. And let's see, anybody that is running around the city who's also hungry, they're probably going to come to see if you have any, and that's pretty much the end of it. Okay. Other things for people to think about, you're in the city. How the hell are you going to get out? Okay, like I said, New York, Chicago. My guess is you don't own a car, all right? The subways, the L train, not going to take you to this, okay? You're not going to get that far, okay? So your option then is walk, okay? Maybe ride a bicycle if you got one of those. But how is that going to go over? You're going to try to get over the GW Bridge on a bike? Good luck, okay? You're going to be dodging all the cars and people yelling and screaming at each other and hopefully not shooting each other at that point, all right? How are you going to protect yourself? How are you going to protect your wife? How are you going to protect your kids, okay? There's the other thing. You got all these, New York, can't own a gun. Virginia in the last couple of weeks. Oh, we want to ban everything. You can't own any guns. Tell you what, the criminals, the ones that you're going to protect yourself from, they don't care what the governor of Virginia says or what de Blasio says in New York or Lightfoot says in Chicago. Chicago, strictest gun laws in the country, right? But, what is it, 10 murders a weekend or something thereabouts? Imagine what happens when we have a situation, like I said, like Elizabeth Warren wins the election, okay? Yeah, we're going to have problems, and there's going to be a lot of people who are all of a sudden beating on your door trying to see if you've got any food because the bodega doesn't have it anymore, or, Pizza Hut's closed, the places where they're getting their food normally, okay? Other thing, are you right with God? Okay, I'm not the most religious person in the world. All right, I'm not going to preach to anybody. There's plenty of websites and stuff like that that people do. Come out of here, my people, or come out of her, my people. I'm sorry. I totally get the concept. I'm totally a faithful man. I just don't believe in religion, organized religion. I think it's a scam. It just amazes me that churches love to, give us money, give us tithe 10% and give us all this money so we can send it to people in Kenya. Okay, and I'm thinking to myself, what about the homeless shelter down the street? You couldn't figure out a way to put them in an apartment somewhere. I'm not going to preach to anybody about religion. I'm right with God. God and I have a one-on-one. This is it. If anybody wants to look up the definition of a church isn't a building. A church is actually where two or more people come together and discuss the Lord. Okay, I have that with my wife, therefore we have our own church. Okay. That's what this channel is going to be about. All right, digging in deeper on these subjects. I'm not doing this to make money. I'm not doing this for hits. I'm not Kim Kardashian. I could care less if 2 people watch this or 200 people watch it. It doesn't make any difference. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I am not going to put up any affiliate links. The only reason I'm doing this is to maybe help somebody who has the forethought to actually get themselves ready for a bad scenario. I won't say a disaster, but a bad scenario. Okay. I'm as much a student as I am a teacher. Okay. I watch these other websites. I practice what I preach. Okay. I'm sitting out here on chairs that I built. Okay. I'm sitting out in front of my fire pit. It's 60 degrees today. I'm not worried about having a fire. Okay. Can I build one? Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. There's a pile of wood back there. Okay. That's already there. Do I have food put away? Yeah, I've probably got 3 months worth of food put away, and I'm still building on that. Do I have weapons? Absolutely, I have weapons. Am I going to tell you what they are? No. Okay. But that's all I'm trying to do here is help people out to maybe open their eyes a little bit. You know, the readiness community, the prepper community, they used to call them survivalists. Okay, I think survivalists are a complete different animal. They have their place, but I'm not looking at rappelling down huge cliffs or whatever, you know, Bear Grylls type stuff. That's not, I'm looking at trying to maintain a little bit of sense of sanity and normalcy in a bad situation for people. That's all I want to do here. If you like this, hey, great. Keep an eye out for other stuff. If you don't, shut me off. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm not worried about it. But other than that, pinball out. Yep, as I said, my hair's got a little grayer. My beard's got a little different. A few of you have said I've got a little thinner. But all in all, we need to stick to our convictions, to what we believe in, to keep doing what's right. Because 4 years later, I wouldn't change a thing. And this time you get the salute. Pinball out.